Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Racha, Chodash, Mama. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder of this camp as well, the Herawan Ban Yasharala. Salutations to the sincere Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm Nakar Harab Ban Yasharala, coming out of the Lions Den camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. And today we coming out with a lesson. It's a quick hit, but as you know, the title of it is sycophant. This word, the Most High kind of had this word on me, since yesterday. I kept thinking about it. I was like, sycophant, sycophant. You know, I've heard it said in movies and different things, here and there. And then I kind of think and I thought back, and I was watching some movie years ago where something happened, and this Edomite lady and of course Esau, they something was going on, some kind of disagreement, and she yelled out sycophant, and she's like, yeah, she called him a sycophant. But here's the definition of it. This is the etymology definition. This is one of the first definitions, and it's a second definition that I will be breaking down too. But this is the first one. What I'm saying, with the 1530s in Latin, sycophanta, it means to an informer, a talebearer. You know what a talebearer is according to the scriptures. A slanderer. You know who the biggest slanderer is according to the scriptures. From Middle English, sycophante, uh, directly from Latin, sycophanta, or from Greek, sycophantes, which means false accuser, slanderer, literally one who shows, and we all know who's a false accuser is. We all know who the false accuser, you know, is, what he looked like, we'll say the border of whence he comes from. So we know who that is. Now this is the first definition of sycophant. Now this is the second definition of sycophant from definition from WordNet. Again, this is sycophant. It's the second definition, which is also a noun. It says a person who tries to please someone in order to gain a personal advantage. Now, this could be used on either side of the spectrum, for good or for bad. Most times, it ain't always necessarily used for uh good. Most times, when somebody is you know I would say displaying sycophantic behavior, or being a sycophant, they're usually trying to gain something, personal gain. But you can also use the word sycophant, synonyms: a lackey, a brown noser, a butt kisser, so forth and so forth. Also, a sycophant in a sense could be used for per se positive. You might be working at a job. You might want to show your manager or your boss that, yeah, I can do the job that you put me on, in order to gain either more money or another position in the company. And somebody that's like, saying, if you truly honestly doing that, then being a sycophant is not bad, you know. But when it involves Esau, a sycophant is anything Esau's involved in. It's not good. It's pretty much gonna be used for wickedness 1,000,000% of the time. It's never ever gonna be used for righteousness. But we also got to be careful not to be a sycophant in this truth, you know. And sycophant filtered through the scriptures, man pleasing, you know. I'm gonna use both aspects of the spectrum of the word sycophant, but I'm starting off with man pleasing, not being that for edification of the body purposes. But without further ado, this is what this is. Yes, this is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1. It says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment, with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. Not sycophant in the positive sense. Children, obey your parents in the Lord. listening to your elders, listening to the brothers that came in before you, taking advice from them. And then again, verse 2, honoring your father and your mother. Don't be disrespectful to your parents. You know, try and please your parents. Try and show them something positive. Same thing with your elders, with the elders and your elders of the camp. You could be a sycophant to them, in order, to like to show them like, yeah, what I'm saying, what you've been teaching me and what I've been learning from you, I'm gaining, I'm getting the gain from it, they able to watch you to grow in the spirit. So you could be a sycophant in that sense, you know, because the gain that you're gonna get is the gain in Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. When you move up in the ranks in Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, it's the Lord that's gonna move you up. You can't be a sycophant in a negative sense that's trying to gain a position over somebody else because that's what you're seeking for. So you brown nosing and you're doing all kind of things like that. That ain't good. But let's continue. Let's jump down to verse 5. It says, still, on the positive spectrum side of the word sycophant. It says, servants, be obedient to them that are your masters, according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto Hamashiach. So be obedient to them. So meaning whomever is over you, let's say in this truth or outside of this truth. So whomever is over you or in authority, what I'm saying, I would say in an authoritative position, you know, try to show them that yeah, I can do whatever task, that you require of me to do. I can do that, you know. And over time, you may gain an advantage somewhere. You may get some kind of personal gain or goal that you was going for, you know. But always respect. Don't be disrespectful, man. Don't be disrespectful, because it says here in the scripture, with fear and trembling, meaning honor and be respectful to those who are in authority over you. You know what I'm saying? In gladness of, or so like in singleness of heart, so of your heart as unto Hamashiach. Just like we try to, we'll say in the positive sense, be a sycophant unto Yahweh Yahushai. Well, in the first part of this verse, according to, it says, obey your masters according to the flesh. Be a sycophant unto them, meaning follow their instruction. Let them know that, yeah, I can do what you require of me. A sycophant in the positive sense. But let's continue. Verse 6, it says, not with eye service as men pleasers, but as servants of Hamashiach, doing the will of Yahweh from the heart. So when you do, what I'm saying, like in the positive spectrum, if you because sycophantic behavior, or you I don't think sycophantine is a word, so I won't use it. But I will say this is a crazy word, but sycophantic behavior, and it says in verse 6, not with eye service, meaning, see, now it's coming to that somewhat, we'll say, negative part of the spectrum, you know, of the word sycophant. Don't do the work of Yahweh Shai, or the things, to just to please man, to have man pleased in you. You know what I'm saying? But you do it as you do the things as the servants of a Mashiach, doing the will of Yahweh Shai. You do these things from the heart. When you're doing this work, you don't do this work to please man. You don't do this work to be a sycophant unto man. You do this work to be, we'll say, in a positive sense, be a sycophant unto Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, knowing what the will of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is, and doing that, you know what I'm saying, from the heart, with your mind, doing it in sincerity. Verse 7, it says, with goodwill doing service as to the Lord Yahweh Shai, and not unto men. So with goodwill, you You do what you're supposed to do according to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. That's what you're supposed to do. Now that's being a sycophant as far as positivity goes. But this is sycophant in the negative spectrum. We already know Esau, he's a sycophant in the negative spectrum. So let's get it. This is Galatians chapter 1. Oh, no, wait. It's still in the positive sense. It's still in the positive sense, Salakia. This is Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. It says, For do I now persuade men? For do I now persuade men or Yahweh? This is Paul to the Galatians. He was asking the question. He was like, do I persuade men or do I persuade the Most High? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be the servant of Hamashiach. He was saying, so what is my job? To persuade men or to persuade the Most High? He said, if I seek to please men, he said, for if I do that, if I yet please man, I should not be a servant of Hamashiach. So if you in this thing and you doing this work and you seeking to please man, you may not be a servant of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, because we're not supposed to be a sycophant unto man. You know, you be a sycophant unto Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, doing what they want, doing what they doing, because yeah, you want to gain, you want a person to gain. Why? You want more understanding, you want more knowledge, you want more wisdom of the scriptures, you want that. So yeah, that's what you're going for. So yeah, be a sycophant unto Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, but not unto men, because we're not in this to please men. You're not in this to get some kind of personal gain from men, or do this to kind of to gain a authoritative position over a brother. So being a sycophant in that sense, trying to get something to gain over a brother, to be over somebody, you know, that's the negative spectrum of it. So you got to be careful. Be a sycophant unto Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, not unto men. But you got your elders or whatever, you can show them that anything that they telling you to learn or telling you to read or whatever, yeah, you can show them like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. You know, what you giving me is helping me and I'm growing. You know, but now let's get to the negative spectrum of the word sycophant. Let's get Psalms chapter 50. Verse 19. It says, Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. We all know who that is. The talebearer, the slanderer, the true sycophant, the false accuser, you know, literally one who shows or who tries to point out the down, we'll say the negative aspects of other people, so that they can gain the position to feel like, oh yeah, I'm in there. And this is Esau, you know. His tongue, he giveth his mouth to evil. He speak all kind of manner of wicked things and evil things. You know, his tongue frameth deceit. And somebody that's a sycophant on the negative spectrum part of it, they gonna be an informer. They're gonna be a talebearer. They're gonna be a slanderer. They're gonna be a false accuser. You know, verse 20, Thou sittest and speak against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. That's what Esau does. He sitteth and he speaketh against his brother. Esau been speaking against us. We Jacob, and Esau hates Jacob because of the blessing. You know, Esau and Jacob came from the same womb, but Esau, he speaks against his brother and he slandereth his own mother's son. So he always slandering us. And that's what a sycophant on the negative spectrum does. They slander. They falsely accuse. They try to point out all kind of manner of wrongdoings that's that somebody else is doing, so they in turn that they can gain some kind of position to further cause problems for either the one that they're trying to slander, or gain a position so that they can cause all kind of manner of problems for other people. And this is what Esau does. This is his thing. And Esau, he's the slanderer. He's the false accuser. He's the sycophant on the negative spectrum. Let's go to Psalms 52. I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of Yahweh endureth continually. And this is what Esau does. And this is a question. You know what I'm saying? He boasts himself in mischief. You know, right now he's that mighty man. He's the one, because why? Because he's in control right now. He's in the driver's seat. You know, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. But the goodness of Yahweh Ba'ashim Shai endureth continually. The goodness of the Most High is going to be when he slapped Esau down, like Thanos did the Hulk in Avengers when he ran up, slapped him flat. That's how the same thing going to happen to Esau, and the Lord going to do it. Verse 2, thy tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Salah, thou lovest all devouring words, O deceitful tongue. And that's how Esau gets down. He is that sycophant that's going to love that evil more than good. He's going to lie. You see the definition of it right here. You see the words. False accuser, slanderer. When you false accusing, guess what? You lying. When you slandering, you lying. When you tell bearing, you lying. You telling you tell basically telling stories, but basically lying. You know, speaking evil. You know what I'm saying? Rather than to speak righteousness. You know, Esau, he loves devouring words. What's one of his main devouring words? Terrorists. Domestic terrorists. That's the new thing. Domestic terrorist. Oh, you a hate group. You know, those are devouring words. Those are lies. Let's continue. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 12. I went too far. Here we go. Started verse 10. This is never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou art and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So for one, you never trust your enemy, especially if they're a sycophant, because just like iron rusts, guaranteed to rust if you leave it outside and water hits it and it starts to oxidize, just like iron is guaranteed to rust, so is the wickedness of an enemy. So is the wickedness of Esau. Though he humble himself, you got to be aware. When he crouching, you still got to take good heed. You got to pay attention to him. You know, you got to be aware of Esau the sycophant. You got to be aware. Why? Because you know he gonna slander you somewhere. He gonna falsely accuse you of something that you're not doing, that you haven't said. Talebearing, lying. You know, beware of him. You know what I'm saying? And like once you pay attention to him and you know, it'll be just like wiping off, we'll say a drossed over or a dulled over looking glass, like you say a spy glass, or like you see it, you'll wipe it off so you can see through it, and right when you wipe it off and you get ready to look through it, you'll find out that ain't none of the dirt, none of the rust, ain't nothing went nowhere. All the cleaning you was doing, that's the same thing how Esau rolled. So you know, you got to be careful because his wickedness is not going to altogether be wiped away. You know, because so you can't trust him. Why? Because this is Esau. It's the sycophant on the negative side of the spectrum. Verse 12, it says, don't set him by you. lest when he has overthrown thee, and if you go back down, sycophant, you know what I'm saying? The second definition, a person who tries to please someone in order to gain a personal advantage, Esau, that's what he'll try to do. If you're doing something, he'll try to slide in and make himself look good while slandering you, trying to take your spot. And as soon, you know what I'm saying, he has overthrown you, he gonna stand up in your position because he was trying to get that position, personal advantage. And saying don't sit him at your right hand unless he take your seat. And at the last, you remember, like, God darn it, I knew I shouldn't have trusted this fool. You know what I'm saying? But that's how it goes. Let's jump down to verse 16. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. So an enemy gonna speak sweetly with his lips. An enemy can be, you know what I'm saying, can display how this says sycophantic behavior. We're gonna tap on that real quick. This is related to all the, you know what I'm saying, the root word sycophant. This is sycophantic, attempted to win favor from influential people by flattery, by brown nosing, butt kissing and being a lackey, like they say, Johnny on the spot. You know what I'm saying? And that's how an enemy is. An enemy can be sweet, speaking sweetly. So you got to be careful because Esau is an enemy. So he's going to speak sweetly with his lips, but in his heart, he's trying to throw you into a pit. He's trying to gain that advantage over you, so he can cause further problems. So when it do happen, he can act like, oh, dang man, that what happened the whole time. He was being a sycophantic behavior and being a sycophant, kissing up to whomever or whatever to gain personal gain. So when Esau, he try to throw you to a pit of your enemy, he gonna weep with his eyes, but he ain't gonna be satisfied with blood. When the opportunity to come up to throw you down to get, he ain't gonna be satisfied. He gonna always go too far. Esau is the habitual line stepper. Sirach 27, last point, verse 23. It says, when thou art present, he will speak sweetly and will admire thy words. But at the last he will writhe his mouth and slander thy sayings. So there you go. You gotta be careful of the Esau the Sycophant, because he'll speak sweetly when he in front of, when he present. He'll, oh yeah, you're also, yeah. You know how Esau do. But as soon as you slide out from around him, he's gonna writhe his mouth. Meaning he gonna twist his mouth up. He gonna whatever you was saying or whatever you was doing, he gonna slander it. He gonna make lies about it. Why? Because Esau's a sycophant, and sycophants display sycophantic behavior. So with that, shalom.